US versus Russian oil 101. The real energy war behind the headlines. Everyone talks about the war in Ukraine, the sanctions, and the power struggle between nations. But the real war isn't just fought on land or through diplomacy. It's fought in the energy markets. Behind every political move and every military headline, there's a hidden battlefield made of pipelines, tankers, and crude oil contracts. This is the untold story of US versus Russian oil, two of the world's biggest energy superpowers with very different kinds of oil and even more different strategies. Welcome to The Private Observer, where headlines end and the real stories begin. Let's start with the basics. Not all oil is the same. Russian oil, known as Urals crude, is what the industry calls medium sour. It's thicker, darker, and contains more sulfur. That makes it harder and more expensive to refine, but it's ideal for producing diesel and heavy industrial fuels. American oil, especially West Texas Intermediate or WTI, is light and sweet. It's cleaner, easier to refine, and perfect for gasoline, jet fuel, and high-value petrochemical products. This difference might sound technical, but it defines how the global oil market operates. Many Asian refineries, especially in India and China, are optimized for heavier sour crude, the type Russia sells. Meanwhile, Western refineries are designed for lighter crude like America's. When Western sanctions hit Russia in 2022 and Europe stopped buying its oil, that imbalance created an opportunity. India and China stepped in, buying Russian oil at discounts as high as 30 to 40%. For them, it wasn't about politics, it was simply smart business. Now this is where the economics turn into geopolitics. When the US and its allies sanctioned Russian oil, the goal was simple: cut off Moscow's main source of income. Oil and gas account for nearly half of Russia's federal budget, funding everything from infrastructure to military operations. The strategy was to choke the economy, isolate Russia financially, and pressure it to stop the war. But there was one big problem. The rest of the world didn't fully cooperate. India and China refused to join the sanctions. Instead, they became Russia's new lifeline. Before 2022, Russia supplied less than 2% of India's total oil imports. By 2023, that number had jumped to more than 40%. China increased its imports too, buying millions of barrels each day, often through intermediaries and shadow fleets designed to avoid Western tracking systems. The result was that Russia's economy didn't collapse. In fact, it adapted. Oil exports continued, money flowed in, and the sanctions lost much of their intended bite. At the same time, US oil exports to Europe soared. European countries that once relied heavily on Russian energy turned to American producers. So while Western leaders spoke of isolating Russia, global oil trade simply rearranged itself, flowing east instead of west. But to understand why this upsets Washington so deeply, we have to look at something bigger than oil. For decades, nearly all oil trades around the world have been priced and paid in US dollars. This is known as the petrodollar system, and it's a cornerstone of American power. Every barrel sold in dollars strengthens the dollar's dominance in global trade and finance. It gives the US enormous leverage, the ability to sanction, to monitor transactions, and to sustain its economy through global demand for its currency. When Russia began selling oil to India and China in rupees, yuan, and rubles, it was more than a financial decision. It was a direct challenge to that system. China, for instance, started settling some energy trades in its own currency through the Shanghai Petroleum Exchange, bypassing the dollar entirely. That might seem small, but in the long run, it erodes the dollar's monopoly and signals a shift toward a more multipolar financial world. For Washington, this isn't just lost market share. It's a threat to the very structure of global influence that the US built after World War II. Today, the global oil map looks completely different from just a few years ago. Russia now sells the majority of its oil to Asia. India refines much of that oil and then quietly resells the finished products, gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, to Europe. So ironically, even European cars and planes may still be running on refined Russian crude. The US remains the world's largest oil producer, but its challenge is no longer just extracting oil. It's maintaining influence over where that oil goes, how it's priced, and what currency it's traded in. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is watching and learning. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Brazil, and even Indonesia are exploring alternative currencies for oil trade. The system that once revolved entirely around the dollar is slowly, but surely starting to diversify. So yes, American oil is cleaner, lighter, and technologically advanced. Russian oil is heavier, cheaper, and strategically discounted. But the real competition isn't about the quality of crude. It's about control. Control of markets, trade routes, and the currency that defines global power. The United States wants to remain the center of that system. Russia, with support from China and India, is quietly building a parallel one. The outcome of this silent energy war will shape not just oil prices, but the future of global economics and power. This is The Private Observer, where we look beyond the politics and into the forces that truly move the world. Thank you for watching. Hit like if you learned something new, subscribe if you want more deep dives like this, and share it with someone who still thinks oil is just about energy.